My name is Tyler, and this is the How You Built This Indie podcast. In this podcast, I sit down with some of the most successful founders and entrepreneurs in Indianapolis and deconstruct how they have built what they have built. My goal is to inspire you to build something truly impactful wherever you are. Today on the podcast, I had Joe Laconi. Joe Laconi is starting a business called All4, which is in the food and health space. And he is actually launching the site and full-on distribution here very, very soon, possibly by the time this episode is out. But what All4 is, the product is a nut butter spread. Think of it like a superfood spread infused with various food groups. So you'll have veggies, fruits, protein, fats within this spread, and it will taste great. They have apple cinnamon, they have almond butter flavors, a bunch of other flavors, and it is hitting the shelves soon in Indianapolis, Chicago, and Nashville. I love the product, love his passion for health and fitness, and I think you guys will love this podcast. Enjoy. Okay. Joe, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
How are you doing today?
I'm great. How are you?
Doing good. What's occupying your day kind of today?
I am kind of prepping for gearing towards the holiday.
Okay.
9 to 5 gig has a number of different projects and things that I need to clear up for the end of this week. It's like, I always kind of wondered why the holiday and everyone's year ended at the same time, and it feels like that every single year we have like a million projects that have to end before the 20th before everyone leaves. So it's a bit busy, but yeah, that's kind of what we're working on. We're also working on over the next couple of weeks, which we don't have an exact date yet, but a launch for the brand.
Okay, yeah. Now I know you're involved in leading and founding All4. You've been involved in some other startups too. Take me back to maybe when you were in high school to like the first business you tried to bootstrap and get off the ground.
Sure. Yeah. So I grew up in, I don't know how much detail I should go in.
Whatever feels natural.
Okay.
Take us back into the weeds. It's fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I grew up locally here. I grew up in Zionsville, went to Zionsville High School. Grew up in a health and fitness kind of family, like me and my brother kind of like to joke we got brainwashed into this world. We had a mom who was like getting up at 5 a.m. and working out every day, and then a dad who's at the gym every day, looks like a Colts player, basically, just jacked, puts me to shame. And so grew up in that kind of family, but they also started businesses. So they were entrepreneurial, and I think that I don't know why, but I thought it was, I don't know if it was like them or like 50 Cent was big, during our childhood. And he had a lot of, topic around that, or a lot of what he talks about was. So I don't know why, but I was interested in that world. So started little businesses, high school and college. In high school, trying to think what was first. Classic lawn care kind of stuff, like mulching and edging of people's beds and like my dad's office and like basic stuff like that. And then later in high school, I don't remember if this was first or second, but this is, going down a little bit different path, but got into like partying and all and that whole world, and started selling vodka in water bottles to like all my friends and people around school. And
no way.
and grew.
You were all underage, right?
Yes.
This was totally illegal.
Yes, correct.
Okay.
Correct.
Yeah, like bootlegging. Yeah.
Basically, yeah. Yeah, I have like really fond memories of that, like taking a handle of vodka and splitting it into 3.5 16-ounce water bottles.
Yeah.
So you'd like turn something that was, we bought the shittiest of vodka. So it was like, well, I don't even remember what the brands were. What were the brands? Like Skull vodka, basically, that you buy for $10 and flip it into 35.
Sure.
Because it would go.
Yeah. So what were the margins? What were the margins on that?
Well, it was, what would the margin be on that? It was, you would pay $10 for a handle. That handle would then, how it was sold, or at least how I sold it, was in water bottles. And that was fairly typical. I don't even think actually that was like an industry, I don't know
Uh-huh.
the right words that we would use before I started doing it. But yeah, so I started selling it in 16-ounce water bottles, and one handle would flip into 3.5. So you
Mhm.
would spend $11 on a handle, 10, $11 on a handle, and then I was selling for like $10 a water bottle. So it would be 35 into your $35 from your 10. I say we, it was like me and then another buddy, but we did pretty well. I think we were buying like at one point 10 handles
Mhm.
every week or so, and
So
flipping into
what were they using
300.
these water bottles with vodka for, like, in school or
Some
or,
um
like, for parties?
no,
Like
yeah, parties.
okay.
Parties, yeah.
So you just have your, like, water bottle and just be pulling from it, and it'd be, like, watered down vodka.
It would be so the water, sorry, I should have said this. I'd pour out all the water and then it would be full of
Oh,
vodka. So the
got it.
point was like it kind of looked like water, so it was easy to hide unless you
Got
shook it up, then it's a lot more bubbly. Um, but yeah, so then like, or at least the parties that I was at, I feel like I don't know, maybe my memory's so bad. So we might have to check some of these, but I feel like everyone was drinking water bottles. Like that's how
Mhm.
people drank. I think it was
It
probably
was
you could sneak.
probably to yeah, to make it secretive.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. So sometimes I would have my car outside of a party with a bag full of water bottles and like sell, that way.
So how did this
So it's fun.
operation, like, turn out? Did it get canceled, or
Yeah.
did you turn it over to someone else, or
Um so my parents are lawyers, and I don't know if this is accurate, or I don't know if they put this in. They didn't know about this operation. In fact, I don't know if how much they still know. So, if they hear this,
I think it's
uh,
okay by now.
I think
You're a
yeah.
successful entrepreneur.
Well,
It's a footnote.
trying to be.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you're
I'm
getting there. Yeah.
29, so I think it's okay by now. But why did I start talking about that? Oh, because I had this thing in my head of like, if I get caught after I'm 18, it'll permanently be on my record, and I'll never be able to recover from it, kind of thing. Which I don't know, like if I would have gotten arrested or if I would have even gotten pulled over, like I don't even know if it would have mattered. It's like they
Mhm,
might not have even noticed, or like, can they even like call it intent to sell? I don't really, I
mhm,
don't really know when it comes to alcohol, but so I stopped before I was 18 for that reason.
mhm,
So
mhm,
I grew it enough where I feel like a decent amount of people were coming to me to buy, and then I was also selling to a couple other kids, like a couple Carmel guys were Buff,
mhm,
North Central.
mhm. Really
So we're able
expanded the
to expand.
operation.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, that's
And
incredible.
and then I just stopped because like I got scared.
Yeah, it's
It's just a
probably
bad idea.
wise, like, I think you really could have got in trouble with the law
Probably.
after 18.
Probably, right?
Yeah, yeah. So kinda switching gears, what is All For?
All Four is a food and bev consumer packaged goods brand. So you could think of it's a nut butter. Think of any product on the grocery shelf. That's what food and bev CPG is. Mission behind the company. That's the company that I started along with a couple other folks on our team. Our mission is to make balanced eating simple. So what it is, it's a nut butter that infuses core food groups into everyday products. That's kind of our overall ethos or product line behind it. And so what it is, it's specialty nut butter with protein, fruits, veggies, and good sources of fats pumped into it with all natural ingredients and a super low sugar count. And so from our product alone, you get 9 grams of protein, half a serving of fruits, half a serving of veggies, and then a rich source of fats coming from nuts and coconut oil. So the whole concept is kind of based on, like I think I was mentioning before, or I guess motivated by, not necessarily based on. Grew up in a really health and fitness kind of family, aside from like the partying years and drinking vodka and selling
We'll
it.
for we'll forget that.
Yeah, yeah. I've grown up a little bit since then, and especially coming out of college, I got way into health and fitness and just really all things, health down to like mental health and holistic health overall. But as much as I love, health and nutrition, I love convenience and simplicity even more, and feel that, like, what I always wished in a product was, I wish that a company would just take what I looked for generally in a product and infuse it into something that I'm already eating. So that's kind of where the motivation behind it came from. And I'm sure you feel this way. I certainly do, but I feel like we're in a world now where, like, with work and workouts and family and email and Instagram, our world is we're so overstimulated all the time and overwhelmed with just everything that is put in our face. And, being in, like, the paying attention to the nutrition world, like, I mean, since I've been alive, since my parents have pushed it down my face, but especially the last 10 years, that that complexity is in our nutrition world too. Maybe most of, or maybe, at its highest extreme is in the nutrition world. So, like, making that just a bit simpler, I think is really needed in our world and something that I really value and can resonate with.
How did the idea come about? Was it you that came up with it? Tell me about that light bulb moment, so to speak. Like, when
Yeah.
you thought about this?
It's a couple years ago, probably. It's about to be 2023. So God, it was probably like 4 years ago now. It was probably a conversation with my mom, or a couple conversations where I just remember her line where she used to say, if I could just take a pill, and because she's like always producing. She's always, not that she's like always working and neglectful, but she's always like, if it's hanging out with her family, or whether it's work or working out, she's always doing something productive. And so, and she just kind of felt like sometimes food would get in the way. So she would say, like, if I could just take a pill and get everything that I needed, I would love that. And I mean, she said that a number of times over my lifetime. So I think that's kind of where it came from. But I'm also a guy who loves food. I was a little bit chubby in middle school in some of my earlier years, so I love good food. So like, kind of, how do we tie that, like, functionality of just take a pill and get what you need to a food that tastes great and everybody loves and that I love? I think that's where the idea came from.
So, what I know about the food industry is that typically margins are really tight.
Yes.
It's really hard. Like, did you develop the product? Did you hire someone? Like, tell me about the product
Yeah.
creation there.
You're right. The margins are pretty tight. Um, you're selling like for us, it's $11 item. General gross margin in grocery or in CPG, it's, you're looking for an average margin of 40% on the manufacturer. You got to give the distributor 15 to maybe 30%. The retailer wants 40 as well. So when you think about, like, this might be getting a little bit too into the weeds, but when you think about, like, how a product is priced at Whole Foods or at a retailer, there are three different parties that need to take a margin off of that, which I didn't realize before getting into this world, but it's really interesting. So how I developed the product, I was living up in Chicago at the time. I moved to Chicago. I went to Indiana University, graduated in 16, moved up to Chicago after that, and then moved back the past couple of years. But I was in Chicago at the time, just like slopping stuff together in the kitchen, trying to think that what would make sense. And it was just a lot of, like, trial and error in the kitchen at first. Me with an apron on as a 26-year-old guy, like, not having any clue what I'm doing, and just had this idea of what do I look for in my diet and how can I make that simpler. It wasn't like I knew a nut butter was the right category or the right vehicle for it. It was just like, what do I look for? What are foods that I eat? Protein, fruits, veggies, fats. That's generally what I look for. I try to eliminate sugar. I want to eat things as close to the natural source as possible. So I just kind of, for years, was like working with different foods, and thought, I thought the bar, like going protein bar, meal bar, might be the right route. And so kind of played around with different products and categories, and then it took me too long to figure this out, but I realized that I needed someone with expertise in product development and recipe development, and got connected with a executive chef who's now our head of product, who's worked with a number of, like, hospitality groups and celebrities across New York, Tokyo, Italy. Really impressive guy. um, with his expertise and just kind of who he is as a guy. That's a whole nother conversation. But got connected with this guy, and his name's Christian, and started working with him as initially a mentor for him to kind of help me guide my own recipe development process. And then I ended up hiring him as a consultant to just do it, just kind of like take my D plus product and make it into something that's retail ready. And then so we've been working together now for like 3 years or so, or at least just been in communication, have had a relationship for that long, and then decided to partner as well.
Hmm. It sounds like he was pretty formative in the launching of the company. How
Yes.
could you afford to pay him when you had no product?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I had a full time job, and I was just paying off of my salary. And that's how I've funded the business. We just we're in the middle of a fundraising round right now, friends and family round. So now we have more money in the bank, but before it was just like, yeah, my salary from selling software, and trying to figure out how much I can push off to create a product.
Has that been hard, having to give up a lot of your salary and pour it into this
Yes.
business?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I've thought a lot about that. I've thought a lot about like, what do I want out of my life? And, uh, um, what's the long term goal? And does money today, like, cause there's a couple of different ways that I could think about how I'm going to use my money today. Sell as much software, like do as, you know, perform as best you can in your day job, and then like,
Hmm.
live tight and save and invest the money that you have. I obviously want to, well, maybe it's not obvious because we haven't really talked figures, but I went a little bit different route of like of using a good amount of money, some efficiently, some not, because I just didn't know what I was doing. To just try to figure out if I can create a product to like launch what is ultimately my dream since I've been 16, has been to have a business that I have a big business that I love and really like, and brings value to the world a little bit. Um, and so I just kind of thought that would be a better use of my money, is even if it completely burns and is a complete waste, that would be a better use of my money to try to do that over my, like, 25 to 30, rather than
Yeah.
put it in a 401k or
Like, what
whatever.
better use of that money could there be than building out your dream versus, throwing it into a mutual fund, which is kind
Yeah.
of the lamest, boring way. Now, I know there's
Yeah.
reasons to do that.
Yeah, totally.
Okay, so you hired on this product developer. And you got a product, I would assume. What happened next?
Yeah.
Were other people helping you at this time, or just you and him?
It started out just me and him. Now my brother's on board. We also have a partner with a group called Atlantis Capital, who has been really, they're acting as they're a co-founder as a group, but like acting as advisors, but really like execution based partners as well, to help like drive projects on a week to week, month to month basis. So they've been really helpful in helping us build a foundation and process and strategy around each department of our business. But um, where they've really been able to shine is filling a gap in places that we didn't have, like, supply chain and ops expertise, finance expertise, things like that. So yeah, started out just me and Christian. My brother came on board. He's been in sales for the past roughly 10 years, in an adjacent industry for the most part, logistics. And so he came on to lead sales, and then Atlantis to help fill some of the other gaps, department wise. But yeah, initially it was just, that was your original question, right? It was just me and Christian, figuring out what the right, a lot goes into that, like product development process of what are the right ingredients? What's the right nutritional breakdown? Mm, What is the right category? With these ingredients, and the category, can we build a product that has a good enough shelf life? So we actually helped started working with Purdue, mm, just north of here, who's been in their food science department, who's been extremely helpful as well. Um, but yeah, a lot went into that, and then just like what you were saying, like margins. I want to put everything into the product. Like I would love for it to have every ashwagandha and like every little like function or
Like make
nutrients,
it solve everything.
everything. Yeah. But that's just not possible if you want to make a business around it and not just you know turn it into, I don't know, like a non-profit that you just give away.
How has the actual business component of trying to turn a profit been going?
Well, we haven't yet launched. So we I launched a product. I launched my own product. What that Christian was helping develop, or when he was just kind of like acting as a mentor and advisor. I launched with my own product to like just online and selling to, and this was year and a half ago probably. Selling to like friends and family and just my network as well as a farmer's market, just to kind of understand. Well, I wanted to put something out there first. Just from my own like self-interest, I'm like, I just want to start selling something. But I also wanted to see if, like, does anybody even really care? Like, does this concept of food group infusion matter to anybody? And so the past like year or so, what we've been working on is I stopped selling that product. And we've been working on reformulating to align to a category, which we can get into the importance of that. I think it's fairly interesting in this business, but to align to a category to um, boost our shelf life, to make it vegan friendly. I don't personally eat vegan, but we were one ingredient away, so figured that would make most sense. And then build out, just like I was speaking to a second ago, build out our team, build out our departments and strategies to relaunch. So now we're planning our relaunch over the next couple of weeks.
What feedback did you get on that soft launch? Were people interested in food group infusion? What did you find there?
Yes, yeah, great question. Yeah, people were interested. They thought it was really interesting. I mean, the right person. There were people that had no interest at all. Um, but the person that is health minded was really interested. They thought it was interesting. What the product that we launched with before was, I called it a superfood spread, and um and actually even before I called it a superfood spread, I didn't really have like a name for the category. And this is before I know more about this industry now than I did, then. But the challenge was people were confused what it was. Like nobody had any idea of where to start. Or like we're introducing a new concept of food groups infused into a product that's never really been done before, unless you're looking at like a meal replacement powder, or like some protein bars or meal bars have that, but no other product has really done that. So like that's one point of confusion. We don't then need another point of confusion of what is the product, and that was the big tell, and reason for why we decided to reformulate into a nut butter. We were thinking about what's the right category to go into from a consumer perspective. Who consumes the category? What's a category that's growing? Where do we see a clear white space for differentiation? And then how's the product used? And does that use case used by consumers? And does that use case align to the value that we think we bring, of infusing food groups into the product and making balanced eating simpler? With nut butters being used mainly as a snack or supplement to a meal, we thought that would fit really well, to create a quick, fulfilling
Yeah.
snack.
For what it's worth, I think the idea, so I am a pretty big health and fitness geek as well.
Perfect.
I'm either running or lifting almost every day.
Uh-huh.
I'm very aware of nutrition, even micronutrients and
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
electrolytes and everything. So I am interested in this. I think
Love
for
it.
me, it would have to, and I mean, I'm sure you're getting this feedback, like a superfood spread. I'm just curious on like taste.
Yeah,
Like, does
yeah.
it also taste good and make
Yeah,
me want to eat it? Where's the product
totally.
at there?
Yeah, no, you're spot on. Mm, that's the other thing about this world is like the product has to taste good or you'll only get that like 1% of consumers like my dad or my mom who can just forego taste because they know it's great for you. But not only will most people not do that, but why would we want to? Like that's not the goal. The goal is to create a product that is better in every way and then happens to also have the food groups infused into it. So it just happens to be healthier. So that's always been our goal. And another reason why bringing Christian on has been so valuable is because it does. I need to get you some jars. So sorry I didn't bring some today. I really should have. So I'll hook you up with some and you can tell me on your own if you think it tastes good or not. But that was really important to us um making sure and maybe we should add this but to our ethos, but making sure that it tastes great and it's not only comparable to like a Justin's or another nut butter that's out there, but actually tastes better.
Mhm.
And so our like storyline around our flavors is unique twist to traditional flavors. So we have an apple cinnamon apple cashew butter. We have a chocolate hint of orange almond butter, and then an original almond butter as well for the people that like, just that straight almond butter flavor, which I'm one of those people. But that's where Christian was really helpful is the amount that I've learned through him, and respect that I have for food development now. Like his ability to create depth of flavor is super interesting. Like for instance, the chocolate hint of orange flavor, when you first taste it, it tastes like chocolate almond butter. And then 3 seconds later, we throw orange zest in it. A couple seconds later, you get that hint of orange. So it's like, it's a
That's
wild,
awesome.
yeah, it's really cool. Um, it's a wild thing. So yeah, to your point, like it has to taste great. Especially when you think about veggies being infused in the product. Well, that doesn't sound so good. So like, how do you balance that? You know?
Yeah, I definitely think though, like I'm not dying to go eat asparagus and broccoli, but I know it's good for me, so I do eat it.
Right.
Unlike most people that, just want to cram fast food down.
Right. Right.
I do eat because I know things are good for me, but if it tastes good on top of that, that's like huge win,
Totally.
So I mean, I would definitely
Totally
be a
agree.
customer of you,
Perfect.
you know?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Totally. Yeah. I got to get you some jars and would love your honest feedback. You are the demo
Okay.
and the target market for sure.
Yeah, what do you feel about the target market? I personally think that the health and fitness industry is just going to explode, and
Uh-huh.
it kind of already has. I mean, you're based in the Midwest. The Midwest isn't known for being super health focused.
Right.
How do you feel about your market?
Like city wise or just
Yeah, like where you gonna launch, and do you think that there is a lot of people in the stores that are like, yeah, I want this product?
yeah. Yeah, I agree that like the Midwest isn't known for being health and fitness minded traditionally or historically. I think the beautiful thing about, I kind of was talking down to like Instagram and stuff earlier a little bit just because I think it does complicate our lives, but for a number of reasons. But now we have access to like a guy like us in Indianapolis have access to a lot of the same information or products from the internet that somebody out in LA would have. So I think yes, like the coast will always set those trends, but I do think the Midwest and some of the other, or at least the right people within those states, have access to whatever kind of health fitness thing that they want. And when you look at a city like Indianapolis, I believe that we have those kinds of people. They're just being underserved, whether it's through restaurants or products like ours or
I would
gyms.
agree. They're just
Um,
being underserved, yeah.
yeah, totally. And that doesn't mean that like I'm not saying Indy has as big of a market um as some of the other like larger cities, but I do think there's a good group of people here who are health and fitness minded, but it's being underserved, and And when we look at when we look at our markets, indie is one. So we're focusing on the region first. So like indie, the region meaning the Midwest, not Valpo. Um, but Indy, Chicago, and Nashville are the three markets that we're focused on first. And obviously, like Nashville and Chicago have more of that like trendy scene.
Well, I love that because you're going after a place that is underserved and bringing a product that can bring a ton of value. And most people would be like, oh, we're going to throw this on in, Seattle or Portland.
Yeah,
But they're crowded with all those types of products and innovators. I think it's cool that Indy, Chicago, and Nashville is going to have a product based here
sure.
to kind of add to this growing swell of the fitness industry here.
Love
I
that.
think it's very needed and can
Same.
be part of your ethos, like,
Yeah,
being in the Midwest.
totally agree.
In 2023, where do you guys need to go?
Yeah, that's a great question. And to what you were saying before, part of my first, Chicago has a pretty big CPG scene, so like there are a lot of resources there, so it's not complete altruism. Um, but I do have this goal. I think it would be really cool to like this is like a 20-year goal, but to build like if you're familiar with On It and what they've done in Austin to build like a mecca gym that's like
You should do it in Indy.
yeah, that's exactly what I want to do.
Yeah.
That's not a focus now, obviously, but I would love to do that.
You
But
need to meet a guy, Zach Hommel.
yeah, I
You
don't know him, but I just have seen him on Instagram and stuff.
Yeah, he's kind of building out like an indie fitness movement. He has a gym called Iron Valley Barbell, which is
Okay,
kind of like a little bit of a meathead gym, but he's
okay,
transitioning it to be more holistic minded, like
gotcha.
ice barrels, and I think they want to get
Cool,
saunas there and
very cool.
whatnot. But I think
Love that.
teaming up with him or something like that, just an idea.
Yeah, no, I love that. I uh I should definitely connect with him. I'll DM him or
And
something
I
on
can
Instagram.
connect you. I know him.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, that would be awesome if you don't mind. Um, I used to, growing up, this is what my dad does is he just is lifting weights, deadlifts and squats. So I have a affinity for that, but I don't do that as much anymore. But no, that's awesome. What was your
My question
question?
was like, with all four,
Oh,
where does the brand need to go in
yeah.
2023? Like, what's the next step?
Yeah, next step is identify who our consumer is and why they buy the product. There's something really interesting to me, at least. I'm a lover of consumer psychology, and psychology as a whole. But a big concept, I guess you could say, in this business is your attribute outcome relationship. What's the key attribute for why consumers buy the product? What's the dietary and lifestyle outcome that they get out of it? And so identifying who our core consumer is, why they buy our product is our number one goal. So then we can then wrap all of our strategies around that data and around that knowledge, whether it's redoing our label design. So, we like for instance, a story of Halo Top is they launched as a high protein ice cream. They found out that they were a low calorie ice cream, and that's why everyone was buying them. They weren't buying them because they were high protein. So originally they said real loud on the front, 20, I don't know what it is, but like 20 grams of protein is what they said on the front. They come to find out that everyone's buying them for low calorie. They rewrap the label so it says 280 calories per pint. And now Halo Top, there's a lot more to success than just that. But that's why we know them as that low calorie brand that you can get guilt free indulgence out of by eating the whole pint. And so like it's so their attribute outcome relationship was low calorie. And then the outcome, like the dietary outcome or lifestyle outcome, was associated to weight loss. So there's a series of 8 or 10 of the most valuable dietary outcomes that consumers value, and weight loss is either one or two, mixed in with satiation. And so how I've read and how some anthropologists or psychologists who have read case studies of this product is attribute is low calorie. Outcome is weight loss through guilt-free indulgence. So I think that's a super interesting concept and something that we're chasing initially as well.
That's really smart. I think the marketing coaching that I've gotten is, for example, in my business, I'm in real estate, and typically you want to sell it yourself. Like, oh, if you work with me, I'm going to give you all these extra little things, but that's not why people use you. You got to sell the beach or the end result, which is you're going to get into a comfortable house and you're going to have an awesome lifestyle after you work with me. It's not about you. So like with you, you're selling that like you're selling the beach.
Yeah.
Which is like the end result of what using your product gets.
Yeah. Balanced eating simple. And in my opinion, that end result is one less thing that you have to think about in your day, which then means like stress relief and joy,
and good taste.
Yeah.
I just keep pumping that in there.
Yeah.
I'm a huge but almond butter I love. So I mean, I think I would already like it based on
perfect.
I like pretty. It's kind of funny. I like pretty densely caloric things.
Okay.
Like nut butters. What else? Anything with a lot of high fat. And why?
Yeah, I do too.
I think I have a pretty high metabolism.
Okay.
And I think that I get pretty busy, and I'll either end up eating way too much food late at night, or I'll eat a banana with tons of like almond butter.
Okay.
Just like almond butter every bite, and I just feel like my body is wanting those calories.
Feels better. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you eat like keto, basically, or no?
That's a good question. No, I would say I'm pretty balanced. I have to focus to eat protein because I don't naturally love protein.
Okay.
But I try to eat pretty high protein, and I do honestly eat high fat too, though.
Yeah.
But I do eat carbs too, so I'm pretty well balanced, I would say.
Yeah.
What about you?
I eat. I mean, this is gonna sound kind of protein, fruits, veggies, fats is generally just what I go for, and I think there's a lot of value in, again, and not to just really. There's a reason that I started this product and this company, and simplifying it to that, I think there's a lot of value in, and so that's essentially just what I look for is protein, fruits, veggies, fats, all from good sources. So like, like omnivorous.
It's kind of paleo.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I would say it's what I eat is probably most, if we want to gear it towards a existing diet, it's probably paleo. It's like I eat meat, like red meat, chicken, fish, nut butter, protein. I eat fruits, veggies, a big mix, and then fats I eat are like nut butter, coconut oil, ghee, olive oil. I wish I had more avocados, but just like managing them at home is such a pain. So I don't buy them.
Yeah. My wife does that for me. She just made a huge bowl of guac last night.
Nice.
So, I see what you're doing here, which is, so do you think that people are buying this to say, we're too busy, we don't want to prepare veggies and stuff? This has it? Is that what, or is it like, I already wanted a spread, this is just a much better spread? I think I would buy it because I'm already going to use a spread like almond butter. Yeah. This tastes just as good. In fact, it tastes better. Yeah. And it has all these extra nutrients and groups. Right. That's why I would buy it.
I think it's both. I think that's a great question and point. And obviously it depends on the consumer. When I think of this industry, I think people shop categories first. So they go to Whole Foods and you go to the nut butter aisle. And then once you're in, because you want an almond butter, and once you're in there, generally the one that you pick is the one that you recognize and already have trust in. It's like you've bought Justin's for the past 2 years. So you go straight to the Justin's, grab it off the shelf, and then put it in your cart, And so I think there will definitely be consumers that like they go to grab the Justin's and then see ours and go like, oh, this is Justin's, but with a lot more in it and a lot, a lot more value for what you buy, and then pick us. I think probably the biggest use case, I have a lot of cousins I'm 29, a lot of cousins who are in their 30s, and have a handful of kids. And so I think the young, health-focused parent who like struggles to get a shower in the morning, prepping for work, prepping their kid for school, let alone get a balanced diet into their diet. And then more importantly, or maybe more challengingly, if that's a word, how do you sneak fruits, veggies, protein into your kid's diet? Really tough. So that I think it's both, but I think that's the key
Yeah. Yeah.
use case.
Yeah. Well, I'm excited for you guys. This interview right now has got me kind of pumped. I definitely
Awesome.
would love to be an advocate.
Appreciate you. Yeah. Awesome. I got to get you some jars. I would love your feedback.
Yeah, I will definitely. So, kind of zooming out with what you've built up. So, it sounds like you're gonna launch pretty big here soon, next year.
Yes.
Is the
I don't
kind
want
of
to
the
give an
big?
exact date.
Yeah,
But
sure. We won't hold you to
we're
that.
trying to hit in the next 3 weeks.
Oh, wow. Okay, perfect timing for this podcast, honestly.
Yeah. Totally. Yep.
Yeah,
Totally.
yeah. So all the listeners, you need to look out for all four, because I got a lot of listeners in Indy, of course.
Yep.
This is an indie-based
Sure.
podcast.
Eatall4.com.
Eatall4.com. There you go. I'll put that in the show notes.
Awesome.
Zooming out though, what has been the biggest lesson in all this?
Like personally, I guess I can give you both. Personally, it's just I'm the kind of guy that I have to do what I'm interested in. So I can't sell software that, I worked for a startup previously that sold software that, well, I guess I worked for 2 different companies that sold software, but one that I didn't really believe that heavily in, another one, the startup that I did, but, and it's just like, it's impossible for me. I have to really believe in it. I have to really love what I'm doing. And so, like, for me, I've always had an interest in dream of business. And then I've basically always had an interest in like health and fitness. And so marrying those two together has been I think that's something that I always knew, but just now like doing it drives that perspective home more.
And I honestly, not to cut you off.
No,
I honestly think the X factor and the success is you.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if you believe in it
For sure.
totally, it will work. Like, I
For
know
sure.
for a fact this product can work. You
Love
know?
that.
Yeah.
No, I appreciate it. And I agree. I don't think, and this is a little bit different topic, I don't think the product's wrong. I think, like in the sense of, I don't think the product can be wrong. The question is, can we distribute it to the right place, at the right price, at the right time? Like, does the country, is now the time for that to be interesting? I think it is, but no, I agree. It's like, how much, I guess the person that, I look at it like this, like the person that isn't passionate about what they're doing and then just works hard through discipline isn't going to beat the person that's passionate about what they're doing and is then disciplined, and it's just a much more fun life to love what you do. So
Agree.
that's the lesson on the personal side. On the business side, don't try to do everything on your own. I tried way too long to do everything on my own. And I think that, there is a bit of like chicken or egg of, in order to attract people to join you, you have to have something. But in order to have something, you have to have other people, So like, but that, that was the biggest thing for me, especially early on. Is I just try to do everything alone, and bringing the partners that we have on today, we've grown so much faster and to a higher grade.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome, man. Those are 2 really good lessons that I'm even learning. Like for this podcast, for example, for me, and I just read this book called Who, Not How.
Okay.
By Benjamin Hardy, but
okay,
it's all about this topic of, if you have a big goal, it's not how do I do every little detail.
Yeah.
You just will go nowhere and run yourself into the ground. It's who.
Yeah.
Like, who is going to unlock this? Who do you need to consult with? Who do you need to bring on to do the admin or the marketing? You know?
That's interesting.
It's a really good book.
That. Yeah.
It's really good. It's a little book, but powerful concept. And I immediately just started like hiring and like paying people on Fiverr, whatever you call it, to do things I can't do.
Yeah, totally. And I think that's a scary thing. It's hard, it's hard financially if you have to pay them. It's hard mentally for control, to give up that control. Um, but it's I think that, like, yeah, it was something I didn't do early on, but I think it's actually a decent skill that I have of to be able to let go and trust. But like, thinking about any business, a business is a group of people working together to achieve a common goal. And well, it's more than just that, but it's that. So like, how can you grow or develop any business that has any kind of scale on your own? It's impossible.
Right.
Not only is it impossible time wise, but we're just not good at everything.
Yeah.
I'm good at a couple things and
A
pretty
business.
bad at
Yeah.
others.
Right. Like you need people with other talents who find energy naturally through other things,
Yes,
you know?
exactly. Like finance. I've not only do I not find energy in it, I want to pull my hair out when so like
Yeah.
the thought of of me spending my time doing that, my output is going to be a D minus,
Mm.
or somebody else, Andy.
Yeah.
Um, um, it would be an A plus,
And I think that's the thing about being an entrepreneur, kind of philosophically. I would personally consider myself an entrepreneur because I'm the big idea, the
Yeah.
big, like, almost the big salesperson. Like you're selling people to work for you.
Uh
You're
huh.
selling a movement almost, but I'm not like a good employee, which is, hey, I need an expert on this
Right.
job that you're gonna do for years and years and years.
Yeah.
But you can gain specialty on this job, which could be finance,
Right.
which could be specific sales or
Right.
administration stuff. Some people love that security and knowing this is my job.
Yeah. Right.
I do
There's a lot of
not
value to that.
yeah, and that's great. Like if that's you,
Yeah.
identifying that's huge. I identified, and I'm a real estate agent, which is kind of an entrepreneur, but I want to
Sure.
do something later that's even more entrepreneurial, like my
Yeah.
own distinct business, whatever that looks like a brick and mortar
Yeah.
eventually. And I'm gonna have to hire like a lot of people to do these,
Right.
things. Like,
Right.
yeah,
And you look at yourself as like vision guy,
yeah,
big
I would say
picture.
like with this podcast, like, not to get my head in the clouds, but I'm going to make like the stats on podcasts are pretty like slim. Like most don't
Of
make it
course.
to episode whatever 5, and
Yeah.
then the ones that do make it to 5,
I think
like,
that's a perseverance thing though. Being able to
yeah.
stop.
So I'm going like this podcast. I have decided will get listeners,
Yeah.
like thousands of listeners. Now I know indie is only so big, but I like
Yeah.
that it's indie focus. So I
Okay.
just want
Yeah.
anyone interested in business and entrepreneurship to
Yeah.
be listening to this podcast, and that's just my one goal.
Love that.
And like I'm totally confident it will pan out because I'm just gonna work as hard enough as it
Yeah.
takes.
And do you enjoy it?
I enjoy this.
Yeah.
Like this is giving me a lot of energy. Like I'm gonna leave here
Yeah. Yeah. Same.
with my cup full,
Yeah. Yeah.
not empty.
Totally. Totally agree.
Okay.
And that's why I wanna do it with my dad too. But
Yeah, you should.
yeah, I'm gonna do it.
He's talking about a podcast.
Yeah. Yeah. I want to start one with my father. There was something else I wanted to comment on. Oh, and let me know if
We're
however
kind of
you're
getting
gonna-
close on time, but
Okay.
we'll wrap it up here in a second.
Okay, I was just gonna ask you, why do you want, like, why is entrepreneurship interesting to you? Like, why do you want that? Like, you mentioned like some people want stability and security, and I think that that's, there's a lot of value to that. There's a lot less stress in that. There's a lot of like, it's I don't know, like, I've always
It's a
been
good
an
question.
entrepreneurial minded guy, but like at this,
I think it's like you
you know what I
said
mean? So
it.
I'm just curious.
You said it, which is like I want to make something that has this impact. Like I want
Yeah.
my role bringing something into the world that has value to others.
Yes.
That's a
Build
huge
something.
yes. To build
Yeah.
something that is not like, oh, cute, you built something that's a little side project. No, like something valuable that changes the
Same.
world is my goal, or changes my community at least.
Yeah. Yeah, totally.
Is it the same
I
for
love
you?
that. Yes.
And working for yourself is just more fun, I think.
Yeah. That's a big thing of like, I don't want to, I've always been the kind of person that I want to do what I want to do. And so I don't want someone to tell me what to do. And so freedom is a big one for me. Even if it means working more, you still have freedom. And then again, to the same point of like, just I want to work on what I'm passionate about. You have to have the freedom to be able to do that instead of just getting a job for somebody else's business. You probably won't knock out of the park what you want to do. But adding value to the world. Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, I don't think that like we're curing cancer, but I think that our product makes the world a little bit better. And I think that's what businesses should do. I think businesses should make money by making the world a little bit better, by like adding value to the world, which I guess value could be really subjective, but
People know
but
when they
yeah.
see it. Like, it's like, I want that.
Right. I agree. But then you could argue like social media is
Mm.
valuable, which I think it has a ton of value, but then I also think it has a ton of harm to mental health. And so it's like, I
Yeah,
don't
but
know, it's
I think,
different world.
your superfood spread is not
Not
going
that.
to have that negative drawback. I think
I
I
agree.
can safely say that.
Yeah,
Um,
I agree.
kind of getting closer to wrapping it up here. I like to do some quick fire questions at the end.
Okay.
Just 4 questions. Whatever comes to mind. What are the qualities that make an entrepreneur? Or the quality? Like,
Great question.
what is the most important?
I don't know. For some reason, the word entrepreneur kind of bothers me. I feel like it gets a little arrogant, maybe. I don't know, or maybe it's just because it's like all trendy. So I don't know. Sorry, my mind goes there. But anyway,
We could say founder.
Yeah.
If you want to do.
yeah, if I'm gonna be sensitive, I mean, entrepreneur, founder. I don't know. I think it takes someone who's interested. It takes someone who doesn't. There's got to be, I feel like, some sort of not following the rules. Not that you have to be like a complete rule follower or non-rule follower, but there has to be some sort of like shred of, I don't think this should be done this way. Let's do it. Let's try it this way. I also think that when my parents did a good job of, I'm not the most confident guy in the world, but I do just have this feeling in the back of my head that I can accomplish what I want in life. And I'll bet you a lot of people didn't have that pumped into them as a kid. And I feel bad for those people, but I think that's something my parents did really well. So I think like I have this feeling in the back of my head that I can accomplish what I want. And if you don't have that, would you ever start?
I think you're right that it goes back to parents, but I'm supposed to go on to the next question.
Sorry.
No, you're good.
Answer.
And I don't, maybe you're a huge reader or audiobook listener, but what's your favorite business related book?
I wish I was more of a book reader, but I do read. Business related book. This is really CPG focused, but Ramping Your Brand is really interesting. It's about growing CPG businesses from an anthropologist traditionally that started getting involved with studying consumer psychology and sociology within this industry, and then like a decade ago consulted brands. So that's really interesting, geared towards CPG. What other business books have I read?
Or a podcast or anything?
I don't know. I don't know if I have really any other.
We got to get you on some good books or podcasts.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I have read them. They're just not sticking.
They're not sticking out.
Yeah, but not that many. So I would love.
Sure. Yeah. Actually, I have a podcast that I think you would love.
Okay.
He has a supplement business and he's super big into fitness. Nick Bear.
Oh, yeah. I was actually listening to him.
Oh, okay.
I was actually listening to him like yesterday.
Okay.
BPN or BNP or something.
Yeah, BPN supplements. Started like the business while he was like in the army or in college or something, but built it up.
Yeah. Yeah, no, great idea. And when you said books, my mind went down books. But like that one's a really interesting podcast. I think Aubrey Marcus with On It's an interesting dude. He gets a little bit more like spiritual than I am, but interesting dude who built, in my opinion, one of the coolest brands in On It ever. So that's awesome. But yeah, no, I agree with you there.
Yeah. He is very spiritual and esoteric.
Yeah.
He's done a lot of psychedelics.
Yeah.
He's pretty big into that, which that's a discussion for another day.
Yep.
I have definitely pro and
Me too.
reservations on the amount that
Oh, okay.
I feel as though some of those guys take.
Okay. Yeah. I haven't followed that much, but
I don't know.
ultimately I'm pro all that stuff. But yeah,
I would say I am too because of the mind expansion.
Yes.
Open-mindedness that it can bring.
Agreed.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm a mental health therapy guy, so it's in that same world.
Yeah.
Can be.
Yeah, we could do a whole podcast on that.
Yeah.
This is kind of a broad question, but why Indy?
Home. Grew up in Zionsville. It's so, that was a big thing of like, I just kind of wanted to be home. I wanted to be around family. I have good friends here as well. The other thing, looking more like tactical business strategy, cost of living is low, which is nice. So I don't have to pay myself as much money to live a decent life. So that's great, especially when you think about cash allocation of a startup. From what I'm not the person to talk to this, but what I understand, like legally, our laws are very pro-business. So that's nice. But I think the biggest thing when it comes to Indy for me is I think in our lifetime, we are going to see significant change to the city and significant growth. And we can be a part of that growth where, like I moved from Chicago. Chicago is built, like even if I do something extraordinary in Chicago, you're not really moving the needle much, So like, that's something that's really interesting to me. If I'm 29, when I look at the next like 50 years of our life, like what could we do in Indy? I think we're at a great time for the city, but also, what we can add to it, I think is actually possible.
I love that. I feel exactly the same. Kind of a simple question, but what's your favorite restaurant in Indy?
I think Livery. Off College, right? Probably Livery.
Why?
I think it is Livery. I had to think about that for a second.
Livery's good.
It's great.
Yeah.
That's one of Cunningham's, I think, and they have a ton of great restaurants. But why? Food's awesome. I'm not really like an atmosphere guy, but the atmosphere is pretty cool. And it's not that expensive. I think I got like a flank steak or something, or a skirt steak there for like $18. It's not like it's not gonna kill you.
Mm-hmm.
It's like what is it like
It's Latin American food.
Yeah. Okay. I don't know what that term is. Some sort of fusion.
It's
probably.
A fusion. Yeah, that's what people do when they want to stand out.
Yeah. Just say fusion.
Preppy. Yeah. Well, that's awesome. Well, man, this has been really awesome. I think this podcast is going to bring a lot of value to aspiring entrepreneurs, people who want to build a business. Where can people find out more about All4 and your business?
Yeah. No, I agree. Thanks for having me on. I really enjoyed this. I'd love to do it again. Eatall4.com. I believe our Instagram is All4Co. Let me check it out. I don't have Instagram on my phone. I do.
Not a huge social media guy, you can see.
Well, I do. I now try to treat it like a business. For like, I delete it off my phone, and then on Tuesday and Thursday nights, I get on and do what I have to do. So that's how I'm trying to manage it, or else I'll get too addicted. But yeah. So I think it's All4Co. But it's eatall4.com. The website isn't up yet, but will be in the next couple of weeks.
Probably by the time this episode is out.
Perfect.
The website would be up. I'll definitely be taking a look. So
okay.
Awesome. Thanks again for coming on the show, man, and appreciate you.
For sure. Thank you.
All right.
Appreciate you.
Thanks guys for listening, and we'll be pumping out a new episode with founders in the next 2 weeks. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the How You Built This Indie podcast. My hope is that it gave you some insights, inspiration, and some rocket fuel to put your own ideas out there and to get to work building something impactful. If you know of a great founder or entrepreneur that I should definitely have on the show, please reach out. My email is tyler@tylerlingle.com. For more about my work in real estate, in terms of residential real estate, or real estate investments, visit my website, tyler@tylerlingle.com. That's TYLERLINGLE.com. Thank you guys, and hope you have an awesome week.